What's the most ridiculous rule in your place of work? Nicholas Gage 4 Eva says, I once needed a pen. Figured this was a reasonable ask. Went to the supply closet on my floor, which was locked. Asked the floor's admin, she told me to go to the main supply room in the basement. Went to the basement and explained my situation of needing a pen. They told me all requests for supplies must be approved by my department head. Problem is, being new, I'd never met my department head. She also worked in San Francisco, I worked in Milwaukee, so I needed to send an email both introducing myself, and asking her if I had permission to get a pen from the supply closet. Name deleted says, all recreational activity is forbidden on company time and resources. Except fantasy football. Name deleted says, 2 weeks after I left my previous job a memo went round saying people aren't allowed to look out of the windows at work anymore, it's a big-ass glass building. Name deleted says, no accusing other staff members of being witches. Yeah, it happened so we had to make a rule. I run a hostel in Uganda. Jimmy_Reese 1984 says, I used to work for a large bank. We had an attendance policy that was so complicated it actually created an incentive for employees to take an entire day off rather than be tardy too often. Al Corchinist says, we can't ask others if they want to come grab a coffee in the break room. Statazakazilike says, we have a lock on the first aid kits. So if you just need a band-aid for a cut, you have to get the key from the safety guy. Which in turn makes it a reportable accident with mountains of paperwork and investigations. We use an unbelievable amount of duct tape now. I'm just says, I drive valet. The company handbook says you're never allowed to back up. Ever. You absolutely cannot do the job without reverse. It's impossible, it's in there because of liability and our insurance policy. This way it can always be the valet's fault if an accident occurs ever. Rhino43 Gur says, all the extra toilet paper in the building has to stay in a single closet where it can be overseen by the toilet paper queen. I heard her shrieking the other day when she discovered someone had hoarded one spare roll of toilet paper upstairs so the people who work upstairs wouldn't have to walk down multiple flights of stairs when the toilet paper ran out. 727 Super 27 says, a rule that said, if you have time to lean, you have time to clean, which fairly obviously meant if there was no work then you should be cleaning things. It was at an aircraft servicing station that was fairly small, but we needed a crew of at least 3 people for larger planes. The problem was that sometimes there were just no planes, so there was no work. We would clean for a couple hours and then just run out of stuff to clean, but according to management, that was no good, we had to be busy. It got to be that we would fight over work when it came in because everyone was so bored, and finding pretend busy work was much harder than just working. I remember getting the crew together to pick up pebbles off the taxiway for a couple hours. There's an old joke in aviation, go sweep the taxiway, so we actually did it. __dead__man says, I used to work for Amazon in Ireland and their toilet breaks were crazy. Maximum of 10 minutes a day but also a max of 20 minutes per week. You had to change the status on your computer so everything was recorded and some managers would call you out on it and even go as far as threaten your job. I had an understanding with my manager and told him if I need to take a shit then I am going for it. Like any good manager he just told me that as long as I give him the numbers he wants then I could do what I want. Typewriter Key says, when I was in the military I saw a buddy of mine sitting outside crying. I went and consoled him best as I could, apparently he was just depressed and unhappy. After he was feeling a bit better I went to go and find someone to tell them what was happening. They knew. In fact, he had been crying so much lately that they had instituted a no crying at your desk policy, which is why he was outside. Poison Song says, there was an issue where there was too much socializing going on the factory floor, particularly when people were working while sitting down. False, skewed supervisor perception, so they made everybody stand. When that presented ergonomics problems, they brought in these weird chairs that made you sit at a slant, had no backs, and no wheels, so they wouldn't cause distractions. No part of it made any sense. Throwaway 2,113,232,444 says, my workplace doesn't let you use the word problems. Instead, we have to say challenges if something is wrong. as a problem is a negative word, and challenges promotes the fact that there is room to fix said problem. Not so fast. Andy says, I don't know if it's standard, but I worked at a place where HR wasn't allowed to tell us if someone was fired. It was a big enough place that you might not immediately realize someone had left, and, when you found out, you weren't supposed to ask why. So, if you wanted to know if they were fired, you asked, was there cake? Which was to say that, if the person had retired or left pleasantly after a number of years, they would be given a party with cake. If they were fired, not so much. I haven't seen Brian for some time. Halligan74 says, Fireman. Our risk management department decided long ago that poles were too risky for us. So we use the stairs. We have poles. Anyway, now the newest rule is no free weights, as in no free weights to work out, stay fit. Go into burning high-rise. Absolutely. Walk around the station carrying 40 pounds dumbbells. Too risky. Bobby says, if you are 1 minute late it is a tardy. If you take a half day nothing goes on your record. I was told to just take a half day if you are going to be late because they straight up fire you for tardies. Also if you clock out early it is a tardy. If you have to go to the doctor on lunch break and it is going to take an hour and 10 min, take the rest of the day off. Weird.